Gimenez right now, the Florida Republican, very influential player there, especially when it comes to these matters. You know, Congressman, I was looking into a lot of these Chinese details. What we're told, and you know far better than I, is that companies out of China like ZTE and Huawei, their workers are at some of these, suspected Chinese spy sites on Cuba. I don't know how we're affirming or confirming that, but that's a big worry. I'm just wondering if it's akin to what the Soviets were doing in the early 1960s on that same island.
Yeah, I think it was, and it is, and it's actually even more troublesome because the Chinese are going to have greater capabilities than the Russians, and so it's no secret that Cuba is our greatest adversary in this hemisphere. China is the greatest adversary that we have around the world. So them, joining forces in Cuba to establish bases there, spy bases, even military bases there, should not come as a surprise. It should be worrisome, but it shouldn't be a surprise.
I'm wondering as well, Congressman, what you make of the response we've had to this. It is alarming. Obviously it was terrifying back in 1962 when the Cuban Missile Crisis, sort of spilled over. The world was on the brink. This probably won't be quite the same thing, nor the same reaction. What do you think?
No, I don't think so. I think that, look, they're going to put military bases here, basically to poke us in the eye, keep tabs on our military. We have a lot of military installations around the state of Florida, the Gulf of Mexico. The Chinese have already established a big presence in our hemisphere. We have been asleep at the wheel and have allowed that. We need to refocus our efforts in our own hemisphere. We also need to refocus on what's happening in Cuba. Look, the people of Cuba want freedom. We haven't done anything to help them. We need to, the best way to combat the whole thing is through regime change in Cuba, through the people of Cuba actually making that happen.
Congressman, I have you. Your name came up when I was interviewing Francis Suarez, the latest Republican entrant in the presidential race, and talking about what he offers as a presidential candidate. And I had mentioned, the fact that you weren't quite buying what he's selling. Anyway, this is from Francis Suarez a couple of days ago.
Congressman Gimenez has not taken his ginkgo biloba because he forgets that he's the one that voted for Hillary Clinton in 2016. I voted for a Republican in 2016. I voted for a Republican in 2020. I wrote in Marco Rubio, my good friend, in 2016, and I wrote in Mike Pence in 2020. So I have no idea where he's getting.
But neither time did you write in or vote for Donald Trump, right? He was at the head of the ticket as the Republican standard bearer. Why not? I'm just curious.
No, I didn't. I didn't. I voted for the person who I thought would be best to be president at that time.
All right. I promise your day in court to respond to that, Congressman. Respond.
Well, I don't need ginkgo biloba to recall my memory. I know exactly who I voted for in 2016. I've never denied it. Now the fact that he's denying who he voted for in 2016 and 2020 shows you what kind of person he really is. Look, he could have told us 7 years ago that he voted and he wrote in his good friend Marco Rubio. We had to find out on your show. And then Mike Pence in 2020, Mike Pence was on the ticket. You didn't have to write him in. So look, like I said, I'm not buying it, and most of the people in Miami aren't buying it either. That's why he had to do his announcement in California, not in his hometown of Miami, like most people do when they announce they're running for president.
You did vote for Hillary Clinton, though, in 2016?
Yeah, I did. I've never denied it. Made a mistake. And then, President Trump endorsed me in 2020. I endorsed him, and he endorsed me again in 2022. And so, yeah, but I made that one mistake. He made three. He didn't vote for Trump in 2016. He voted for Andrew Gillum in 2018 over Ron DeSantis. And then he didn't vote for Trump. Now, look, I actually don't know who he voted for, but I'm sure he didn't write in Marco Rubio and Mike Pence.
For all I know, he could have written your name. No, probably did not.
Maybe so.
Let me ask you about where you think the race stands right now. Holdovers have tightened up a little bit. It's still Donald Trump by a country mile, but what do you think?
I think it's Donald Trump's to lose. Look, to me, it's a two-person race, two-man race. Is going to be Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis. But at this point, the president holds a huge lead. I've already endorsed the president, and I am going to, back him all the way. But at the end, I will support the Republican nominee.
Even if that's Francis Suarez?
Well, I may not go that far.
Okay. let's see what happens. Congressman, always
Okay.
good seeing you. Thank you.